Group number 3 that came is the group of the missionaries. The missionaries come in to introduce the foreplay to colonialism. They come in to pacify the African. They come in to teach the African how to become civil in a Western way. They come in to tell the Africans how to love their enemies. They come into Africa and tell them how to forgive those that are abusing you. They come into Africa and train the African how to become a good slave. You must become a slave of Jesus. And once you're a slave of Jesus, you are not difficult to become a slave of the white man. They come here to brainwash the African mindset so that the African does not become militant. He does not. They come here to introduce a new concept of life after death, the concept of heaven, concept of angels, concept of hell, concept of demons, the concept of devils and stuff like that. And they are here to change the worldview in a spiritual sense, so that when the African is interacting with waters, he no longer looks at them as clean waters, but as a place that is a residence of evil spirits. Mountains, don't go there to the mountains. There are demons out there. Don't use your traditional medicines. They are from witches. Don't give birth at home. It's unhygienic. Don't eat African foods. They have bacteria. Don't eat your rotten milk. It's not good for you. It's not healthy. It's not hygienic. And so don't dress up like that. God is not happy. He doesn't want to see your breasts. He doesn't want to see your bums, because God is embarrassed when you walk like Africans like this. You must cover up and look like this. So the missionary is actually a tutor preparing the African to become a good servant and a good slave at the workplace. Respect your bosses, respect your masters, respect your lords, respect your slave masters, and honor them as the same way you would honor and worship God. And then the missionary puts them in church, dresses them up differently, tells them to throw away all their wicked things, wicked practices, wicked omens, wicked methodologies, and wicked science, and everything that is African becomes wicked, and everything that is white becomes righteous, holy, civil, acceptable, progressive, civilized. And the last group that comes, as the ground has been prepared by the mentions, the mentions later on grow to become the business owners. They grow to become the insurance companies. They grow to become the main stakeholders in the mining industry. These are the Anglo-Americans. These are the exploiters of land and minerals and resources. These are the mentions. And the inventors, and not inventors, but the explorers, become the owners of the academic institutions. They become the teachers of the communities. So they open up the schools of learning to teach the African more about the European culture rather than more about themselves. Then the missionaries become the owners of the churches and the religious centers, how to worship, how to love God, how to go to heaven, how to lose your land. And when you lose your land, don't worry, you will gain everything when you go to heaven. So don't focus at these things that are on earth. They then own this psychology of the African in terms of managing to drive how the African processes his mind, how the African processes his religion, how the African processes his future, and how he designs himself to be. That becomes the job of the explorers and then the missionaries. And ultimately, when the mercenaries come with weapons, they come with guns, they come with bombs, they come with chariots, they come with police, they come with prisons, they come with soldiers. And by this time, the African is already economically disadvantaged, because the currency at the market is no longer barter system, but a paper system. By the time the African is met by the mercenary, the African is already disenfranchised in terms of his information and knowledge. He does not have a soul. He is barbarian, and he is evil, and he is uneducated and uncivilized. Over and above that, by the time the African comes, he is no longer looking at fighting. The African is actually waiting to go to heaven and be taken up in the clouds. And then by the mercenaries, then they set up the government infrastructure. They set up the system which has taxation, which has education, which has medical attention, which has militaries, which has police stations, which has prisons, and the courts of justice. So these four main divisions of the colonial people who came to Africa must be understood by the African. Because if you don't understand how the system was designed, is designed around your own progress, you may think that you are developing and you are running a reformation, or you are running a revolution as Africans, only to discover that what you might call a revolution, you are running in circles and just swapping hyenas with foxes, because the system ain't changing. The explorer's information remains the same. That's why we need a revolution in terms of our education and our history. The missionary has not changed. That's why we